Wilson from Pearson. I am going to take you through the Kentucky Spring 2023 training for operational testing. First, we'll start off with an overview of testing. So for Spring 2023, you'll be testing grades 3 through 8, 10, and 11. So there will be reading and mathematics at grades 3 through 8 and 10. You will have social studies, editing and mechanics, and on-demand writing at grades 5, 8, and 11. And you will have science at grades 4, 7, and 11. All grades will take the Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey. The next, we have some online testing timing guidance. These are estimates of approximately how long each test will take. One thing to note is TestNav will not shut off if the time is up. For example, if the science test, if a student goes over 90 minutes, TestNav will not stop. So there's no worry there about the TestNav shutting off. Some general testing information. Students should complete the test in a single continuous test session per content. There may be some exceptions for students with accommodations. Science, editing, mechanics, and on-demand writing will have only Part A that must be tested in one session. Reading, mathematics, and social studies will have a Part A and a Part B, and that may be tested over multiple days. You also can take multiple test sessions or maybe scheduled each day for each content area. All right, now we're going to look at some of the important dates for the operational testing. So you'll see on the next couple of slides, there's some important dates listed. I won't read them all to you, but just to highlight a few, Pearson Access Next goes live and the training sites are available on March 27th. You can start creating test sessions March 22nd all the way through June 2nd. You will want to prepare your sessions and print testing tickets about 1 to 2 weeks prior to testing. Some more of the important dates here. Again, there's dates here for the back. Again, printing testing tickets, preparing sessions, the technology staff, and then obviously the students. The test administration window is March 27th through June 2nd. Now we're going to go through some of the specific steps to prepare for operational testing. For test accommodations, for the operational test, we do have accommodations available for large print, Braille, and text-to-speech. Any students using the paper accommodations will be tested using a test book and the student response book. The accommodation kits for these students will be ordered in Pearson Access Next via the additional order screen. Human readers, if you need to have a human reader, please refer to the online testing toolbox for additional instructions. So if you do need the large print and Braille accommodation kits, this slide shows what they will provide. So the large print kit will include the large print test book, a regular test book and student response booklet, rulers, and the accommodation memo. For Braille, you can choose either UEB or Nemeth. You will have the Braille test book, the regular test book, student response booklet, test administration notes, and the accommodation memo. To order those accommodated kits, you will need to go on Pearson Access and do it via additional orders. The additional order window is open from March 27th through June 9th. The last day to order actual test materials is May 31st. Return materials can be ordered until June 9th. The process for ordering the accommodated test materials is included in the Pearson Access Next navigational instructions located on the Kentucky portal. For text-to-speech, for spring 2023, the online text-to-speech functionality is available. KDE is providing data to Pearson. The file is loaded into PAN before the testing window opens on March 27th. If your district has data, or your district data has been updated in Infinite Campus by March 17th, with the students that require the text-to-speech accommodation, then text-to-speech will be included on the record in the data file that we received from KDE. If text-to-speech has not been added, or if you have a new student that you need to add it to after the file comes from KDE, there are a couple options. The DAC or BAC can enter the information into Pearson Access Next, or they can export a file from Pearson Access Next, make the updates to the student record, and then import that file back into Pearson Access Next. If you do upload the file to turn on the text-to-speech in Pearson Access Next, there's actually two boxes that are shown here that need to be checked. And again, there are two ways to turn this on via Pearson Access Next. The first option is the user interface. You go to the student record and you'll have to select these boxes. The second option we talked about is to export the file, then import the file back in after you've made the updates to the student that need the text-to-speech. There are detailed instructions on how to do this that are located on the Kentucky portal under the Pearson Access Next Guidance Documents tab. For spring 2023, the DACs and BACs will be able to turn on the online calculator in all parts of the test for students whose IEP indicates that they are eligible for the online calculator. Again, Pearson will be receiving the file from KDE. If you update your information in Infinite Campus before March 17th, then the information for the IEP 504 calculator will be provided to Pearson from the file from KDE. If it has not been added prior to March 17th, then you will have this two options to enter the information. You can go into Pearson Access Next, the user interface, or you can upload the file or export the file and re-upload the file, similar to the process for the text-to-speech. Similar to the text-to-speech, there is a box for turning on the IEP calculator. If you go into the user interface to put all the information in, you will need to check this box. Again, there are detailed instructions on both options mentioned on the KDE portal, Kentucky portal, under Pearson Access Next Guidance, the Documents tab. The Proctor read-aloud process. For spring 2023, the test administrators will still be able to log into their own test on TestNav. That way you don't have to look over a student's shoulder or use a paper copy. You can actually log into a test using a Proctor read-aloud testing ticket. Again, the instructions for this are on the Kentucky portal in the same guidance document tab where the other instructions are located. One thing we really need to keep in mind here it is imperative that the administrators do not give the Proctor testing ticket to a student to use. If a student uses a Proctor test ticket to log into the test, the student responses will not be saved and it will not be scored. So it's very important for proctors to make sure they do not give the Proctor read aloud test ticket to a student. If they do, the student will take the test and none of the responses will be saved. So that's very important to remember. Next, we have some information on orders and shipment tracking. This is how you will order the accommodated test materials, the kits, and you can check the status of existing orders and track where your shipments are. You click on Setup, click Orders and Shipment Tracking from the drop-down, click the Select Task drop-down, select Create and Edit Orders, and then click Start. Here we have the orders and shipment tracking. This has a specific screenshot where you select the create and edit orders. And then you do for a create additional order. This slide shows the screen that shows whether you will have to enter the date, and you should allow for at least 2 days before testing to make sure we get stuff to you in time. Number 2 shows where you click the drop-down arrow for the stored contact. Number 3 is the add items at the bottom of the page. Number 4 is on the next slide, shows where you select the items and then save, and then you will click create. So here is the screen that you will use, you will see when you select your items. All of the items will be listed here. You'll put the amounts in that you need. Once you've done that, you click save, and it will take you back to the other screen to create your order. Next, we're going to talk about creating test sessions. You can begin to create the test sessions on March 27th. You will need to create test sessions for all the grades, all of the contents, including the quality of school and climate safety survey. It's important to remember each session will only contain one content and one grade level. For example, you cannot have a session that some students that have a reading test and other students have a math test. All students in a session must have the same content. You also cannot have grade 3 math and grade 4 math in the same session. It has to be all of one grade, one content within a specific session. There are detailed instructions on creating test sessions, again, located in the Kentucky portal under the Guidance Documents tab. Once you've created your test sessions, you'll have to prepare them. All sessions must be prepared before they can be starting. Preparing the session actually assigns the test form to each student within the session. If you have students that need the text-to-speech accommodation, you must add the accommodation to their record before the session is prepared. You can start to prepare your test sessions 1 to 2 weeks before testing. And again, the preparing test sessions, there are detailed instructions again on the Kentucky portal under the Guidance Documents tab. Next, we'll talk about some of the student testing tickets and seal codes. So each student must have a testing ticket to sign into each online test. Each testing ticket contains the student's unique username and password. The student testing tickets, rosters, and seal codes are secure documents and must be kept in a secure location until the test is administered. Testing tickets and seal codes should be printed at least 1 week prior to testing. If the student testing tickets are printed early, they are secure and need to be locked in a secure location. Each student will have a testing ticket for each content area that they are taking. Each testing ticket is unique to each student and each session, so they must be used for the correct session. If you have students in grade 3, they will have a reading session and a math session, and you need to make sure that the correct student gets their testing ticket for each of the sessions, one for math, one for reading. You also need to print out the seal codes. The seal codes are unique 4-digit numbers that are used to control the student access to each section of the test. There will be one seal code for science, editing mechanics, and on-demand writing. There will be 2 seal codes for reading, mathematics, and social studies. There are no seal codes for the quality of school climate and safety survey. The seal codes can be written on a whiteboard or on the chalkboard so students can clearly see what the codes are for each part of the test. Each individual script will inform the proctor when to write the seal code on the board. Again, detailed instructions are on the Kentucky portal under the Pearson Access Next Guidance Documents tab. Here we have a sample student testing ticket. As you can see, it will have the student name, the student ID, the session name, student date of birth, and the test that they're taking. Down at the bottom, you will see their unique username and password that they will need to sign into the test. Here is a sample seal code sheet. This one happens to be for grade 5 mathematics. You can see there is a seal code for section 1, part A, and for part B. Starting test sessions and student testing. All of your test sessions must be started before the students can log into TestNav. You can start your sessions one at a time, or you can start multiple sections at the same time. Again, on the Kentucky portal, we have detailed instructions on exactly how to do this. Just go to the Kentucky portal under the Pearson Access Next Guidance tab document, and you will find the information that you need. More on starting this sessions and student testing. Again, the student testing tickets are secure. They need to be kept separate. So keep your tickets for reading separate from your tickets for math. Each time you hand out the student testing tickets, have the student verify that it is their name on the testing ticket. Then to start the test, students will launch the TestNav app from their device, whether it's a desktop, laptop, tablet, Chromebook, whatever. The test administrator will read instructions from the grade-specific scripts. Once the test administrator feels that the class is ready to begin, they can write the seal code on the board. After the app is launched, the TestNav sign-in screen will appear, and students will enter their username. So this is what the TestNav app, the icon, looks like on the desktop. Once the students click on this sign-in will appear, and the student will enter the username and password from their testing ticket right here in the green box. After TestNav app is launched, again, what I just said, the TestNav screen will appear. Students will enter their username and password from the testing ticket and then click sign in to start the test. First thing the students will see will be the honor code. They will have to check the box in order to move forward. After the honor code will be the seal code. Once the students enter the seal code, then they will be able to start testing. One thing we did want to note and kind of highlight was for students in grades 5, 8, and 11 for on-demand writing, the seal code is at the bottom of the writer's reference sheet after the student honor code. So they will have to scroll down through the writer's reference sheet for on-demand writing to get to the honor code and the seal code. When the students are done testing, then they can submit their answers and exit out of TestNav. All right, for students that transfers or new student, I know there's a lot of students that transfer either within the district from one school to another, or even from district to district. Students that transfer to a new district and school will be handled using the work request process in Pearson Access Next. This process involves the DAC from where the student is coming from and the DAC to where the student is going to. The work request process will be in the TA manual. It is also included on the next slide. The DACs and BACs must monitor the work requests on PAN and approve transfers that come from other districts. Here is the work request process. I am not going to read all of this to you, but it basically tells you how to request the enrollment transfer, all of the steps, and then authorize the enrollment transfer. If you have a student that is new to Kentucky, if they came from out of state, they will need to be manually added into Pearson Access Next. To add the student, they must have a current SSID. To do that, you will click on New Student, click on the Setup, then select Students from the drop-down menu. Then in Select Tasks, click on Create and Edit Students, and then on Start. And this is where you will put in the student information. After the student is entered into the system, they will need to be registered. Since the student is new, they will not have a content already assigned. In these cases, you can select any content that you want when assigning the student's grade level, the content tests when registering the student for the test. Here is the screen that I talked about on the previous slide, where you will create the new student. You will put in all of the student information that you have here. Once the student is created, you will need to register them in order to get them in the right test and be able to add them to a session. Questions? I know you will all probably have a lot of questions. If you do have questions, please bring those questions to the DAC back training sessions that will be held in February. Contact information. Here is the contact information for the Office of Assessment and Accountability, along with the DAC info email, and then also the number for the Pearson help desk.